He is a veteran of the Black Hawk Down mission, and he's one of the U.S. Army, former U.S. Army Ranger. So, Keni, welcome to today's Issues.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. You guys doing all right?
Doing well, thanks.
It sounds like if Tim is wearing an Omni, anytime you use the word Omni, you have to be careful because it sounds like he's wearing his junior God badge.
Well,
Tim is omni-competent.
Well, he is the boss, so we have to give him, we have
Yeah.
to give him, he is the boss. We've got to give him extra credit.
That's right.
Hey, Keni, tell us a little bit about your own background, where you grew up. And, of course, you were a U.S. Army Ranger. You were part of the Black Hawk Down mission. So tell us a little bit about your story that led to the writing of this book.
Oh, my gosh, man, we need, to sit down for an hour and a half. But I grew up in Gainesville, Florida, and went in the Army after I graduated school. I graduated college and went in and enlisted with this 75th Ranger Regiment. Ended up at 3rd Ranger Battalion. And going to combat's pretty easy. You just get sent. Hey, you're going. So we went, and we were in country. We were sent into Mogadishu. And I don't know if y'all remember back in the early 90s, the first Bush administration, we went in there to go feed all the starving people of Somalia. Well, then there was this warlord who started attacking all the food shipments and started attacking American troops who were guarding the food shipments, and then we were sent in as a special operations package to go capture this guy. And that's how we ended up in Mogadishu.
Well, now, as part of that, though, your experience with Black Hawk Down, tell us, I understand that for you were moving past that, and you're going back in country now to minister to our soldiers with a guitar and to share the message with them of Christ and redemption and hope through the battle. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's part of it. That's good. Here's what I tell. We have 11, 12 years worth of young veterans that are coming home and trying to get back to society. And the one thing that I always make a point of saying, look, I totally understand. I get the challenges that it takes to come from that reality when you do 2 and 3 and 4 deployments over in a combat zone and then come back home. I get that challenge. I totally know what you're going through. You don't think anybody wants to hear what you're talking about, or you don't think you should be talking about it because it sounds like bragging, and no one really has your left and your right anymore, and it's tough. And the best remedy that I know you can do to help yourself is to tell your story. And it doesn't mean talk about yourself. You talk about the people on your left and your right. Because here's the point. If you won't tell your story, who will?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same, because the story that you're going to tell, it's the same story your grandfathers in World War II or Korea, or your fathers in Vietnam, or your other best friends that were in Iraq or Afghanistan. The stories they're going to tell are going to be the same. And that's why I've learned that if I don't tell our story, who's going to? It's far from anybody trying to brag about, look what I did. It's really a tribute and an honor to the people who are on my left and my right.
Well, it's important for us to understand the journey that you all go through when you're representing us and standing on the front lines. And you said that you were writing a letter to your mom and you heard "Get It On." At that point in time, what happened? Because this was, I guess, known throughout the whole United States, if not the world. This was a big deal. Walk us through those moments so we can really understand what you guys go through in the heat of the moment.
Well, but the call comes down. It was a day off from training, and you're right, Lauren. I was writing a letter home. Weren't supposed to be working, and just like that, a guy walks up, hey, get it on. It's just like a firefighter or a police officer gets that call. And for us, it was fairly routine, which happened just about every day. We had a mission. We had done, people don't know, we did 40-something sorties into that city going after people. It's no different than what they're doing over there in Afghanistan and Iraq. It's constant going after bad guys. So this was a routine thing for us. You don't know, though. You have to treat every mission as if it, with a high sense of urgency. And this mission was a raid. So it was going in the middle of the daytime. which is a little risky. You don't want to do daytime raids if you can avoid it, because honestly, because people can see you.
They see you
and
coming.
they're going to be shooting at you. You don't want them to see you. So that's basically, we usually go in the nighttime, but this was a daylight raid. And the mission was to grab some guys out of a building in the heart of Mogadishu. We accomplished the mission. The mission was done. Got the bad guys. We're waiting to go home, waiting for our ride to get basically exfilled out of the city. And just like that, one of the helicopters got shot down that was covering us. And when the helicopter got shot down, the whole mission changed, and that became what everybody knew as, the Black Hawk Down.
Wow.
And well, keep telling the story, Kenny. What happened then at that moment? The mission suddenly changes. Walk us through a little bit of what happened.
Well,
next.
if you can, if you guys stop me, I know it's radio and I don't want to just keep babbling, so I'll pause for you. You let me know if you want me to keep going, because it's a pretty fascinating, it's an extraordinary story. And when the bird went down, that changed everything. You had 80 guys basically around this target building. And the prisoners, let me back up so you guys can get a real good picture. The prisoners were pulled out of the building. The Delta Force operators had those guys, kind of wrangled them in. There were vehicles that were a couple blocks away. They drove up. There were Rangers on the vehicles, put the bad guys on the trucks drive away. That left about 80 of us, Delta guys and Rangers, on the target building waiting to go. When the bird got shot down, it went down about 5 blocks away. So fortunately, it was very close. It didn't crash so far away that we couldn't get to it. So we were going to move on foot. So the 80 of us pick up and we start moving down the streets towards this crash. Why it was so tough was because you were in the heart of the bad guy country. The car market was terrible on a Sunday afternoon. It was just packed full of people. And everybody has a weapon, and they all went running towards the crash. So by the time when we made the turn at that 5th block and finally got towards the crash, it was like a perfect storm. Everybody met at once. All the people in the city were running. And you had trained militia, you had untrained people, you just had people running around with weapons. And when we got it was the volume of gunfire at that point when we got to the crash was so over the top long before they ever made a movie. We used to call that moment. It was like Hollywood. Because that was Hollywood, dude. And it was because it was, you never seen anything like that other than in the movies. And so the firefight starts picking up, and this sense of urgency starts happening because we've got to rescue this crew that's downed, and there were guys that were at the crash site right around the bird, and the rest of us are kind of spread out for 2 blocks because it got backed up. There were only so many places you could get down and hide behind, so we kind of started spreading out about 2 blocks. And that fight went on all the way through the night, because what we didn't know is we thought, why aren't the vehicles coming back for us? What do you mean they can't get here? Why aren't they sending in more helicopters? Like all the things that we normally would expect, all the backup plans were gone, because what most people don't know is not only did our helicopter got shot down, but now think about this, the helicopter that replaced him in the rotation up in the sky, within 3 minutes, he got shot down. So he's a mile away, crashed into the city. So now you have 2 birds on the ground. Both rescue helicopters that went to go check on both of those crashes, while inserting rescue teams, got shot down out of the sky.
Wow.
4 birds were on the ground within 15 minutes. There was no more helicopters to come for us. They weren't going to do it. And then the vehicles that had driven away with the prisoners, we're thinking, well, where are they? Why hadn't they gotten here? And it's because they were getting hammered in the alleyways and in the streets, and just kept. They were mounting more casualties. They were becoming more of a detriment than they would have been any kind of a help, because they just kept getting people wounded and killed on the back of these vehicles. So we were kind of on our own there at the crash, and it went through the night. To make a really long story, short, we finally got the pilot's body freed from the wreckage. Chief Walcott's body was crushed in there. We just didn't have the gear. And the rescue convoy finally got to us. And it's important to note, all those guys that were Rangers, They had been on the vehicles, and the operators, Delta guys, they came back for us. They kept coming, even when they probably should have just stopped. There were guys from the 10th Mountain Division, which is a whole other unit that people don't even know about. Those guys rarely ever get any kind of pat on the back when it comes to that battle, but they came for us during the night. We put all the wounded people on the vehicles. The morning sun came up. Bad guys were still shooting. They drove the wounded people out of there. And then the plan was that left about 30 of us now out of that 80 that had moved that could still run. And the idea was that we were going to run behind the vehicles and use the vehicles as cover. But I'm a pretty fast dude. I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep up with the vehicle going 30 miles an hour. So that left about 30 of us, and we ran out of the city the next morning. And
now,
in a short Wikipedia explanation of the battle, that's it from a historic standpoint.
right. This is the program Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Our guest is Keni Thomas, and we're talking about his book and his experience. The book is called Get It On, and what it means to lead the way. Now,